Hello, beloved, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Donia, aka Donia the Light. Thank you for your patience. I was supposed to post a video on Tuesday. That didn't happen, but it's okay. Today, I'd like to talk about 7 painful truths that Black people will only Black people understand about their parents. Full disclosure, these are my opinions and my thoughts. If you don't agree, that's totally okay. And I live in Southern California in America. So these experiences may not reflect exactly what you experienced growing up as a Black person wherever you grew up. But I feel like even if you're not Black and resonate with these, I feel like these are things that we can resonate with about our parents on a few different levels. I have them written on a little note card, so as I look down, that's what I'm looking at. As always, if you resonate or just appreciate or disagree or anything with anything I share in this video, please like, comment so we can have a discussion, subscribe if you find this content resonates with you or doesn't resonate with you and you just want to hear more. Oh, baby boy. Whatever it is, you let me know. So typically I link my Instagram in the description, but I have not been able to get on Instagram on my phone. The app has not been working at all. So if you'd like to contact me, feel free to just comment here. I'll link my email address if you'd like to send me something directly. And I've been semi-active on TikTok, but anywho, let's go ahead and dive in. So thing number one is, painful truth number one, is that our parents are still growing up with us. So as much as we look to our parents to be a sounding board, or we look to our parents to be that sort of pillar of what to do or what not to do, or we go to them with these questions that we have and we don't know whether they've experienced what we're asking them or not, but we really, really trust them and are looking to them for sound, sturdy, kind, loving advice. A painful truth that we have to understand is that they are still growing up with us. So whether or not they have experienced what we've experienced, or whether or not they're even comfortable enough or confident enough to have those discussions with us, we have to understand that this is still true, because just as much as we are still growing up, regardless of whatever age we are, we could be in our 20s, 30s, 40s, we're still growing up. Our parents are still too. Even if they are in their 60s or 70s, they are still growing up. They're still learning new things. They're still experiencing new things. Sometimes they may have trouble admitting this to be true, but we have to understand that this is true. So take the things that they share with you or don't share with you with a grain of salt. And remember that the way that they react when you ask them certain things doesn't always mean that, they're trying to be mean or that they meant to be harmful or what have you. But if you need to reach out to someone else, or if you need to let them know the way that they responded hurt your feelings, please do so. Because as much as we believed that we knew everything as teenagers, I think we believe that our parents know everything now, and they just don't, and that's okay. Painful truth number 2 is that their opinion of you probably shaped who you are. So if you were young and you were a boy and your parents told you not to cry because men don't cry, and you need to man up, and crying is for girls, or crying is for sissies, or crying is for whoever, those types of thoughts and opinions may have shaped the way that you look at yourself. They may have shaped the way that you look at your peers, right? If you were a girl growing up and your parents were constantly commenting the way that you dressed, or the colors that you wore, or, the way that you styled your hair, saying that you were being fast, or, that you were trying to basically get the attention of older men, and here you are just being a kid or being a teenager, those things may have shaped the way that you look at yourself. You may be overly analytical when it comes to your appearance. You may believe that your appearance is the only worth that you have in the world because it was constantly spoken about. You may have been, kind of shielded from the outside world because your parents, thought that, oh, you were too pretty, or maybe you developed breasts at an early age and they took that as some sign of, you feeling like you were ready for sex at an early age when you have no control whatsoever over when your body develops. So keep that in mind. When you think about the stresses and anxieties and things that you overanalyze in your life or overthink about yourself and your life, those things may have come from the things that your parents said to you, or the way that they treated you, or the way that they behaved throughout your childhood. So remember that those things didn't necessarily come from you consciously. They could have been a product of your environment growing up. Painful truth number 3 is that your parents may be very, very prideful. You may bring something to their attention as far as it bothering you or you not appreciating it, or maybe even something that you really enjoy. And instead of responding in a way that's appreciative, hey, I appreciate that, son or daughter. I appreciate that you enjoy that you enjoy whatever, insert behavior here. They may respond with, something along the lines of like, yeah, I'm the greatest, or, this is just what I'm supposed to do because I'm your parent, instead of actively accepting the compliment that you're giving them, or on the other hand, if you're sharing something with them that you don't appreciate or something that you don't like, they may respond with you being ungrateful or you being disrespectful because you're sharing something that you don't appreciate that they do, or a way that they behave, or something that they say to you on a regular basis. Once again, remember that our parents have grown up and are still growing up, but there are things within them that are very, very deeply ingrained, and sometimes that pride is a very, very deep part of it. So just keep practicing, and remember that their response has nothing to do with you. It's about anything that's within them, something they may be struggling with, something they may secretly be really insecure about, you know what I mean? So just keep in mind that it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. Painful truth number 4 is that your parents may love you. They do love you very, very, very deeply, but they may have a really hard time showing it. And there's a lot of different layers to this, right? They may show, or they may feel that they're showing that they love you through the things that they buy you, or, the fact that they kept you safe growing up, or whatever. But it could also be true that, your love language is words of affirmation, and perhaps you just need to hear that they love you. You just need to actually hear those words, or you just need to see them behaving in a way that illustrates that they love you through physical touch, or through whatever it is that your primary love language is. And your parent is not always going to know that. I mean, these are things that we as people, as adults, as what have you, are still learning to be true for ourselves as we're growing up and getting to know ourselves. So please don't believe that just because your parent doesn't show that they love you, that they don't love you. And this is a really good conversation to have with them. I would really love, or I would really appreciate if you could show me that you love, appreciate, care for me, etc. by doing this or by saying this, and just present it to them. Just because you're sharing this with them doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do it, but at least you're practicing that communication and letting them know, this is the way I like to be appreciated, or maybe this is the way I like to be celebrated when I accomplish things, or, if I share with you that I've accomplished something, this would be a great response, or this is what I would like to do, maybe go out to dinner or whatever. But give them those suggestions so that they don't have to say, well, I don't know what to do for you, because it's true. They might not know. Yes. Painful truth number 5 that we have to understand about our parents is that they may still be living in survival mode. And this could be true regardless of how abundant or stable in their lives they are. They could be making more than enough money. They could have more than enough resources. They could have more than enough support. But if their mentality hasn't changed from them living in survival mode, which means they're moving through life believing that there's only ever going to be, it's similar to a scarcity mindset, where they believe that, even though all of these abundant things and great things are happening, they're limited, or that they're going to go away soon. So everything has to be appreciated right here and now. These finances and funds are not going to continue to multiply. They're going to end at some point, believing that they don't deserve the abundance that they're being blessed with. That's another, really big problem. So when you are speaking to or living with or interacting with a parent or parents who are still operating in survival mode, regardless of all the abundance around them, it can be very, very draining, because you may be a person who wants to remind them to do fun things or to do things that relieve stress, and their response is, we don't have the money for that. And you're thinking, yeah, you kind of do. You have more than enough money for that. But they believe that they either have to hold on and clutch every dollar and penny and cent that they have for dear life because it's not going to continue to multiply. Or they believe that, the things that they buy and the cars and the clothes and the shoes and the houses and stuff, depict them a certain way to people around them. So they may be blowing all their cash and stuff like that on material things instead of doing things that are gonna, bring them less stress, going on vacations, taking time off of work, etc., etc. So that's something we really have to remember about our parents is, they watch their parents operate and grow up and live in survival mode forever. And oftentimes we don't know how to turn that off, especially if we don't know that we're doing it in the first place. Painful truth number 6 is that your parents may have been conditioned by pain and not love. So it's so interesting, all of these things kind of come full circle, but think about when you're training your dog, right? A lot of times our first go-to when we're training a dog or even disciplining a child, anything like that, is to reprimand them for the things that we don't want them to do, instead of the opposite, which has been proven so many times to be so much more effective in any kind of situation, which is to praise them for things that we want them to do, right? So if your child is, throwing a tantrum, or if your child is, let's not say throwing a tantrum. Let's say your child is hitting their sibling, right? Our first inclination often is to hit them back and say, well, now they'll know that if they hit their sibling, I'm going to hit them. So they're going to correlate that because they don't want to get hit, they're not going to hit their sibling, right? Whereas if we were to praise them every single time they give their sibling a hug or give their sibling a kiss, or, just be gentle or kind or whatever around their sibling, they would be much more likely to behave that way. Now, that's not to say they're never going to hit again, but they'd be much more likely to continue to behave in that way and be kind and gentle and all those things because they're receiving positive feedback from it. Our parents grew up, in the latter situation in which they were demeaned and reprimanded, and not just from their own parents, but just from society as a whole. They were always told what they did wrong. They were always told the ways in which they need to be better, right? They were not handled with care oftentimes as they grew up. And some of our parents definitely were, but many of our parents were just being Black in America, point blank period. Regardless of how their home situation was. In the workplace, they may have received, that kind of feedback where they were only given criticisms, or at school, they were only told all of the things that are wrong with the work that they're doing, and never was there ever a light shown on the things that they're doing right. And that really messes with you as a human, in society. And of course, the things that they grew up with are naturally going to be passed down to us. So if you find that that's true for the way that your parents communicated with you or spoke to you, that could be why. So again, the primary purpose of these conversations, or me bringing these up, is just to remind you that, our parents aren't perfect. They're still growing. And a lot of the things that they did, said, behaved were unintentional. It's not to say that they should not be responsible for them, but they did not do them on purpose. They did them because this is the way that they grew up, okay? And painful truth number 7 is that other people's opinions, primarily the community, especially places like church, those people's opinions may mean a lot to your parents. They may be very, very important to your parents. And because of the importance that your parents place on those people's opinions, it may be very difficult for your parents to live authentically. It may be very difficult for them to say, you know what, I really don't like blank, but everyone around me likes blank, so I'm just going to go with it. And because it's difficult for them, it may be difficult for them to support you living authentically. And this could be something as not going to say extreme, but it could be something, it could be anything. It could be you saying that you are a part of the LGBTQIA plus community and them just feeling, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do with that information. It could be something along the lines of you saying that you don't want to work a 9 to 5 and that you want to be an entrepreneur, and them knowing that it's going to be really difficult and that no one else around them does it, and they just don't know how to support it because they're thinking, you know, what are the people at church going to say? What is the family going to say? What are they going to think of us, you know, as a family unit? So once again, all of these things and all of these preconceived notions that our parents have of us can be very, very difficult when it comes to us trying to grow up and live authentically and live honorably and live honestly and move through the world in a way that serves us and fills us up more than it depletes us. As much as we love and appreciate our parents, or as much as we may love and appreciate our parents and believe that they're supposed to be a large part of our lives, if there's any point in time in which you feel that you need to set a boundary, please do so. Because again, our parents are not perfect. Set as many boundaries as you need to, and be reminded that you are supported in the fact that you need to take care of yourself first. If there are things that I've discussed today, as far as any of these painful truths, that, you know, you feel your parents, maybe one of them more than the other, you know, just takes it like way too far. Like if your parent is more concerned with the opinion of the community than, you know, how you feel about yourself, perhaps you need to set, you know, a sturdier boundary as far as, you know what, mom, dad, both, whoever, it really hurts me to do this, but, you know, I'd like to spend less time with you. Or, you know, I'd like to not go out to our Sunday brunches after church because, you know, these conversations always end up with, you know, what's so-and-so doing with their life? How come they don't have a regular job yet? I thought they were going to school. You know, all this comparison, all this negativity. And if you need to remove yourself from that kind of situation and not put yourself in harm's way, please do so. Because you are the most important person in your life. You need to protect yourself and keep yourself safe. And if that means spending less time in those situations, in those environments, then you need to do so. And it's not about not being appreciative of your community. It's about building each other up. And, you know, perhaps you could be the catalyst to change the conversation to one that's more conducive and one that's more beneficial to everyone, instead of just gossip and drama like a lot of us prefer to speak about, because there's no accountability in gossip and drama. If we're talking about building each other up and becoming better people, there's a sense of accountability that sometimes makes people very uncomfortable. But that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them. So please just remember, you know, our parents do not know everything. They are still growing up with us. They may have grown up in an environment that shaped them and molded them with pain and not love, and so much more, you know, the other painful truths that I've spoken about. But those things are going to trickle down to us as their children. So just keep in mind that none of this means that you know, were a mistake or that you've done anything wrong. Just do your best to be mindful of the fact that these things exist, and, you know, perhaps connect with a therapist to find out how you can kind of rid yourself mentally of the burdens that some of these things may be putting on you. And just remember that you are the most important person of your life. You are perfectly created just as you are. You're an incredible human being. You are filled with so much light and so much love, and you have so much to give, not only to yourself, but to those around you who truly love and appreciate you. And if you haven't heard so today, I love you and I appreciate you. I hope you drink enough water today. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you next Tuesday. If you haven't already, please leave me a thumbs up, like, please leave me a comment. If you have questions, agreements, disagreements, just want to throw some stuff down there, I would love to have a conversation with you. And if you enjoyed what I spoke about today, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I'll be back next Tuesday with another video. Have a beautiful day, beloved. Bye.